makeup.
All right, so we are here. We're live. Couch Coach Live. It's 8 o'clock. What's going on, Maui?
What's up, man?
Not
How's
much, man.
everything?
Everything good. Same old, same old. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
new. Just another week. Just doing my
Okay.
thing. How was your week?
Yeah. Same old, same old. Some opportunities came.
Yeah.
Um, that came out the blue too. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
kind of put extra stress on you, try to make decisions, and then I'm like, bet it's Mercury retrograde, so you're not even supposed to make those decisions yet. You know what I mean? For me, anyway. So that's about it, man. Seemed
hmm
like I don't know what's going on in the world of sports, but it just seemed like they don't know how to cope with everything, with the protesting, with
Yeah.
COVID, with trying to make plans. And I can understand, you know what I mean, from a
hmm
sports standpoint, but it seemed like these, the journalists and everything don't really know what to do. It's like almost like they pulling a rabbit out of a hat, trying to, you know what I mean, trying to figure out different things. But everybody got to somewhat understand, man, like it's something different. They, you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of these guys, man, they like, if I'm going to do this and that, you're going to have to pay me. You're going to have to understand my value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, man. It's a lot of noise, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So we definitely got to get into the breaking news story of the day, which is very crazy of how all this happened. I mean, basically 20 in the last 48 hours, we went from Bubba Wallace pretty much having a noose in the garage
Right,
of the car,
right.
and this fallout, what happens, and then now with the FBI investigation now that wraps
Uh-huh.
up, and essentially saying that the noose has been there since the fall of 2019. So
Right.
your thoughts on Bubba Wallace?
Okay. My thoughts was I was hearing the gentleman who spoke for NASCAR on ESPN. I was hearing him speak, and he said that how no fans was back there, the drivers don't even go back there, and he was saying it's just mechanics basically. He said it's so locked in, everybody can only move a certain way. And then he said that I saw that it was somebody from the team that saw it. You know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
don't know if it's true or it's not true. I don't know. But what I do know is I was very proud of NASCAR, like doing what they did for him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When we spoke about the whole incident of everything with racism and everything, we were saying how uncomfortable we are in certain situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the point that so you see something like that, that's a lot of anxiety. That's a lot of things you have to deal with. You know what I mean? And a lot of fear you have to deal with. And for them to do what they did and walk with him like that, that would stand. Even the people that didn't want to still did it. You know what I mean? Basically saying that we gonna have his back. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel with it. I think it just show you too. You know what I'm saying? People do. I don't know if it's. I don't like I said. I seen something and somebody said they don't believe it, and I was like, well, I don't know. I'm just going by what they told me. You know what I mean? And it might be some things going on behind the scenes that we don't know. You know what I mean? It might be some people talking that we don't know. And I'm sure that Bubba probably dealt with those situations the whole time he's been in his career. You know what I mean? That he kept his mouth shut or didn't really say anything. But
Yeah.
I know for what everything's going on, and I wish, and for me, I was saying that I wished a lot of people who speak a lot of negative on our social pages would have said, even though I vote this way or my politics is this way, I still feel like this is some bull. Excuse my name,
Yeah.
bullshit. I had to say it. I still don't think this is right. So, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ride with this, with this individual, this human being. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
these circumstances, because I don't feel comfortable with that, and that shouldn't be. We don't need that around us. We don't represent that. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
dude said, he said the king came out. You know what I'm saying? And stood by, still beside him, because he's
Yeah.
supposed to represent them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, what? How you feel? How you feel?
I mean, it's one of the things I'm kind of glad that endings that it wasn't intentional. I
Mm-hmm.
do the simple fact of is being there is kind of bizarre,
Right
but
to you?
I'm glad that this wasn't intentional where somebody did this on purpose because it would kind of in essence kind of coincide with the situation that's going on with the Confederate flag of how he was the front runner saying, hey, you guys need to get rid of the Confederate flag in NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then I just like the unity that it came about. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like Richard Petty came and,
Yeah. They called
controlled
him the
him.
king. Yeah.
And it's,
Right.
it is where it's like, that's like an iconic moment. And this is one of the things
Right.
where you look at how, and I think most of these leagues really need to pay attention of how they treat, because you think about it, these other leagues aren't united, even though you think about it, these leagues aren't united just like NASCAR is with that situation. Everybody knew
Right.
this was wrong.
Right.
Regardless, this is wrong,
Right. This ain't
and we're
right.
going to
Right.
rally behind this individual. So
Right.
a lot of these other leagues can learn from this situation, and
Right.
the vitriol that I've been seeing the last about 3 hours since the news broke, it's just ridiculous to me. Like, to me, people like deeming him as like the Jussie Smollett, and I'm like, dude, like, it's not a lie. It's there.
That's a lie. Right.
That's why I was like, I think when people, and that's what lets you realize how it's really hate that drives people, because you're making these comparisons that are both that are like
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
that are just off left field. Like, how can you
Right.
say that the man lied? And a lot of people were saying, well, we knew it was a hoax. And then one thing is not a hoax. It's just one of those things where it had to be investigated, and then the investigation came back and it proves those results. And it's not a situation where it should be a situation where we look at Bubba as a liar, or we look at him as somebody who's trying to do something. No, it's been there, and it's been there for almost a year, which is crazy when you sit down and you think about it.
Right.
That was discovered, and it's been a year. So, I mean, the thing about with NASCAR, and just like, and then fans are just, I tell you, they have really showed out within these last 48 hours, from both sides. And you think to yourself, wow, like, this is bizarre, like how these NASCAR fans react. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, let's just come to a healthy medium. And we're not, because we're dealing with the internet. Yeah, we're dealing with the internet, and we're dealing with people who are going to have this type of, you
got to be right.
Vitriol, and you got to. And that's why I always say Al Gore never get y'all the internet. So that's it.
You so stupid.
I just don't like, that's my thing where it's just like, I'm happy that this wasn't a hate crime towards him. So that's one thing too, where I'm like, that's good. And I'm happy that didn't happen, where, so I'm relieved of the findings, and I don't think of nothing more or less on both sides. Like the whole situation where they thought it was a hoax, it's still not a hoax, because in the same token, it's still there. It happened. So, right. So, and then right. Right. So it's there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's there. Right. So it's just like, there's no need to go further with it, where it's already there. It's not like it was made up. And like you said, like you were saying, how the security is tight, because you think about it, these cars, and nobody's gonna go past certain things. So that's one of the things where it's just like, okay, they found the findings, and this is what happened. And definitely, I'm just glad of the outcome of it. And then if they would have found somebody, and just how just despicable that person. I'm like that.
Right. The gentleman that was speaking on the network, he seemed very passionate. It was he was southern gentleman. You know what I mean? So when he was speaking, I felt uncomfortable because like stereotypical how you hear southern people talk when they get passionate, patriot, make me feel uncomfortable sometimes. You know what I mean? And he said that NASCAR didn't have to put it out there. They could have kept it in house, but they were doing an investigation to necessarily see what was going on. You know what I mean? And he said that that the king was coming. You know what I'm saying? He said he was coming down there because he said he's not gonna have any of that going on with NASCAR. And I think ain't Bubba on his team or something like that, or part of his
Richie Petty. You talking about
yeah,
Richie
I
Petty?
think it's
Yeah.
yeah. So he said he was
Yeah.
going, he backing him up 100%. But then he said that it wasn't Bubba Wallace that said something because
Mm-hmm.
he does not go into he's not going into the garage. Only the mechanics. The way they got everything locked down, everything is locked down a certain way. He said he's
Right.
not going in there. It was a crew member that saw it and said
Yeah.
something, and then NASCAR made a decision to put it out there. So you can't call him Jesse. You know what I'm saying? You can't
Right.
call him Jesse because he didn't speak on it. It was a crew member, and
Right.
NASCAR was the one that put it out there. They got it at it necessarily so through the investigation is saying it was negative. You know what I mean? But
Right.
at the same time, they did something that you would have thought the NFL would have did.
Years ago.
Right. You would have thought they would have done that. You know what I mean?
Literally,
Because
like.
we all around here in our area, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
know for a fact that different races play football and they hang together. So
Mm-hmm.
they necessarily do see how the things that police do to certain players and certain people. You know what I mean? They see it. They know
Yeah.
they see it. You know what I mean? So come on, man. You see it in college. You see it all over the place. Yeah, sometimes the police will let stuff go and this, and that, but not all the time. You know what I mean? Come
Yeah.
on, man. Yeah, dude. So it just was shocked that you would see. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what everybody got to stop doing. We gotta be smart and don't judge. Don't judge like we
Yeah.
use, like majority of us do.
Right. Right.
Look a book
Absolutely.
by its cover.
So what's going on, Lamar? What's up, brother?
Nobody
Yes,
thinking about
sir.
that.
What's going on, Bear? So,
What's
man,
up?
let's talk about Jamal Adams,
All right.
the Jets safety. So
Right.
he's the man in a trade. He still has
Right.
roughly about 2 years left on his rookie deal.
Right.
So he has a list of 7 teams that he wants to
Right.
go to. So it's
Right.
going to be the Ravens, the
Right.
Texans, the
Right.
Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, 49ers, and the Seahawks. Interesting. Of his
Right.
choice of 7 teams. Your
Right.
thoughts on Jamal Adams, just in general?
So I looked it over, and everybody's saying that he's a perfect player to build the culture around. They really on his side based upon him wanting to leave the Jets. You know what I mean? And it's so funny. Basically, he's saying he wants to get paid. Like he's saying, basically, what I'm getting for. He said, if I'm gonna stay here, y'all need to pay me. You know what I mean? But if I'm leaving from here, I want to be on a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl or have a chance to win. That's just hands down. You know what I mean? And I think they said he's supposed to get 3.5 million this season, and 2021 he's looking to get 9.5 in his
Yeah.
contract. You know what I mean? And they said majority of the teams that he's talking about, the cap is going to be some cap issues. You know what I mean? But you know, uh, a lot of people said a lot of people they basically my thing is a lot of people is negative. They say he should just shut up and play. I think when you at a point of where you got 2 years left in your contract. I think you should be able to, if they haven't necessarily gave you the extension yet, you should be able to sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, if you guys aren't going to give me an extension, I really would like for y'all to trade me. So why can't you just be straight up and say, hey, well, we're most likely not going to do that. So why don't we go ahead and make a move and see they can see what they can get from. But that maybe that's just me tripping. I think that would be good business. What you think?
I think with the Jets, man, the Jets hold the keys, man. Like honestly,
Right.
they pretty much got him dead to rights. I mean, because essentially, if they don't do nothing, he's still essentially is going to be there for potentially 3 years. Because you think about it, he got 2 years left. So one of the years they can pick up his 5th-year option, and then you can be petty and be like, "Look, I'm a franchise tag you that 5th year." So the Jets, I think Jets hold the leverage. And I think one of those things where I understand what Jamal Adams coming from, because like you're saying, and you look at because he's in the same draft class as Christian McCaffrey. So you look at it like, hey, he just got a big deal. Like, come on now. Like, am I gonna, I should be, in that conversation too. So look at it from that standpoint. But the teams going, yeah, it's gonna be hard. They're gonna be hard pressed to, they can afford Jamal Adams. I mean, you look at this, these teams like the Chiefs. I mean, dude, they're not gonna be able to afford them. I mean, the Cowboys most definitely. And it's just one of the things where it's just like, I get where he coming from. And then like the Jets, I'm like, shoot, hey, whoever wants them, I mean, you better give me some cough up at least a couple first round picks, maybe a second, those stuff in.
You wouldn't give that for him? You wouldn't give up some stuff?
It depends. It depends on the teams. I think these teams potentially could, but like I wouldn't give up 2 first round picks. No, not at all. No. I've been there, done that. No. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't
why? Okay, why? I want you to tell me why I do.
I don't think you should fleece your future on a guy. Like, to me, if I'm one of these type of teams, I would maybe take a chance on it because at least you look at these teams, they're Super Bowl contenders, and essentially they might be a player or two away or a piece away from taking it to the next level.
Right.
Me personally, I mean, I probably wouldn't pull the trigger. I mean, to be real with you, it depends on the tag. I mean, it depends on the price. Like, I'm not gonna give up 2 first round picks for Jamal Adams. I'm just not. That's just me personally. I would do a first, maybe if a 1 first round pick, like a first round pick for 1 year, for in that 2 years, I'm not gonna fleece 2 first round picks in consecutive years for him. No, that's to me personally, I would not.
I just don't understand that because he's already, to me, they said he outplayed his rookie contract. So he's something more special than just, a rookie that they brung in. He's basically the best player, arguably, on the Jets. So why wouldn't you give up a first round? Because those picks are basically toss-ups because you don't know how good those players are going to be or those picks you're going to use, but you know how good Adams is. So I just don't understand that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
It's not a diss, not a debate. I'm just saying that's just something that But
yeah, but the going rate is 2 first round picks. So that's like, so say for instance now, would I be willing to give up a 2021 and a 2022 draft pick? No. I would maybe do it. I would just give out 1 first round pick. I'm not giving away 2. Not at all. Like, nah. I do a first and a third or whatever, but I'm not giving away 2 first round picks in consecutive years. It just depends on where you at.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, why? I'm looking at you. That's your opinion, but I'm looking at you as a GM of a team, right? And I'm saying, what is the reasons why you wouldn't do that? I understand. I understand what you're saying. I'm trusting your judgment. I want to know exactly, all right, because I want to get that mind state, or why wouldn't it? Because I was like, okay, I already know I get meat and potatoes from this dude, but this chef, but they say these 2 chefs was good in a lower grade area, but are they really going to be as special as this gentleman? So if I can get that gentleman put on my team, I give up that. You know what I mean? So I'm just asking, why wouldn't you?
I just mean personally, the value of those picks. Like, to me, I wouldn't give up 2 first round picks for the guy. I just wouldn't. I just know
you want no player
as not for no Jamal Adams. No. Now, if I was getting somebody, I don't know if, as far as anybody in the league, I would give, like, off the top of my head, but I wouldn't give him 2 I would do it. I would give up 1 first round pick, a 2021 first round pick, but I'm not giving up 2 first round picks in 2 consecutive years. No, I just know how it is. I got you.
Well, I can't remember. I don't know why, but for some reason, I think that we got last year from Miami. I don't know. I know we gave up a first round pick, but I don't know if we gave up 2. No. And we got a strong safety.
Minka,
and
yeah,
he ended up being like probably one of the biggest things that we picked up on, and I'm happy he gave away that pick. I'm sure Jerome is
yeah,
too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I just feel like, Tomlin saw something, and that's why I'm like, rather than using those picks, it's a toss up. But this gentleman right here, I know he'd be, so I'm gonna go ahead and put him on this squad, and I'm happy he did it. So that's why I'm asking that question. Because from
yeah,
what
and
I
then
seen and the
yeah,
stuff I wrote down, they said he was a culture. You could build a culture around him. He wants to be the extension of the coaching staff. Like he's a mod. He doesn't get any trouble off the field.
yeah,
Um, um, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just a model football player.
yeah,
He got a rookie contract and he's balling. And it just seemed like to me that he shouldn't even have to ask that question, man. They should have already had took care of him
yeah,
if he's the one that's standing out. And then you go down to, you go to Carolina and you see that they just, gave this dude his money. He ain't even asked for it. You know what I'm
right,
saying? That's the stuff I'm talking about. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Then he's talking about going to the Cowboys. And I'm like, boy,
they got the
they ain't
money,
even, well, at first, they ain't even really want to play Zeke. You know what I'm saying? And
right,
now Dak finally done caved in, but they didn't even really want to. He had issues too with trying to get
yeah,
money. I'm like,
right.
come on, man.
And then going back to the other statement where you think about it, because essentially you're fleecing two potential starters, essentially. Because when you get a
Mm-hmm.
first round pick, you hope, I'll put it this way, you draft in the first round to at least have a starter, a guy who is going to
Right.
contribute immediately.
Right.
I don't know. And it's funny, and definitely huge shout out to Jason, who's actually 49ers, and he would be perfect in his situation because that's where Jamal one of the teams that Jamal Adams want to go to is San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco. And I mean, I just wouldn't. And especially in that position as a strong safety, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say like that's the beauty position of the league. I mean, I'm not trying to say you can get a Jamal Adams out of anywhere. Like he's just not like you could pick up a loaf of bread. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not like that type of easy acquisition.
So,
I wouldn't at all.
so, so, me being a Steeler, if you can get Troy Polamalu, right, and you
Yeah.
had a chance to get him, you wouldn't do that with him either, really no player in the NFL, you would never do that.
Well, I'll put it this way, and it depends on now. Troy Polamalu is a whole different animal. I don't know about those two first, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Like to me, when I look at two first and like going back on, like I was saying, back on the experience, the really reason why the Redskins did that to get the two first round picks because of the getting a what they deemed as a franchise quarterback who essentially who you thought was gonna be there for a long period of time and it was gonna be the face of your franchise for at least
Who
10
who was
years.
that? What quarterback was that?
RG3. He was RG3.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
that's what I'm
Now I
saying.
see. Now I
So
see why you saying it.
oh yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. But the
Yeah, I see
thing
why you
is,
saying
it's
it.
just
Yeah.
there's no sure thing. And Jamal Adams, don't
Right.
get me wrong. It's not a hate party. I mean, I would love him. I would love to have him in Washington, but of course, we got too many stuff going on in DC with we shouldn't part ways with no any assets for our trade value, whatever.
Right. I just wanted to
But
better
yeah,
understand it. That's all. Because I see
mhm,
Jason, he's saying the same thing. Like I just wanted to understand that because I know there's people that win Super Bowls and there's people that like Lamar Bear. You have teams that win great, at drafting, but they not winning Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if you can get a player, they sit there. I just sat there and watched all these different things, and they spoke so highly of him and saying how he deserves
mhm,
this, and that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so why wouldn't you give him if you got a chance? If you got a chance to like if you get him on your team, even if your team is wild card or almost can make the playoffs, and if he could
yeah,
fit in there and spark something, and you can get a jump, like why wouldn't you
yeah,
give up something? You know what I mean? That's what I was saying. But I'm
mhm,
not, I'm not that big football guy when it comes to that. So
yeah,
I just wanted to understand because I know when it comes to drafting, it's a different
mhm,
science than some other sports. And you know
right.
what I'm saying? So that's why I asked that question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just too much. There's just too much value. I think that you would give up. But if I'm the
Hmm.
Jets, I'm like, come on, like I want the deals to flow, like because at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, and the Jets are in such a weird spot. Like to be honest with you, they're gonna have to pay Sam Darnold. They're gonna have to pay him eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, 3 or 4 years down the line, they're gonna have to, have to sign Mekhi Becton, Louisville University by way of Highland Springs High School, to a deal because he's probably one of the best O-linemen in the league. Pardon my bias, but so they're in a spot where it's like they're gonna have to figure something out where, and I know they've been trying to negotiate deals with him all summer, and it's just coming to a halt. So, but the Jets are in the perfect position. They're gonna have a situation where he's probably gonna end up playing this year with them. Hopefully, he stays healthy, and then maybe the price dries up a little bit more.
And the Jets,
yeah.
the Jets is basically the Knicks to me. You know what I mean?
And what's sad about this team is, and that's how like they need to work this out because I really think they're in a good spot. They were 7-9 last year. Sam Darnold gets mono, and he missed like 6 games. So you think about it, hell, if you would have even win 500, this team could have competed and went to the playoffs. Then coupled with Tom Brady's gone out of New England, so you're like, this is a perfect situation. Like
I would have gave him his bread, man. I would have gave him some type of extension. I don't, you know what I mean? Like something. Like, hey, before he even asked for it, I would have set him down and been like, yeah, let's take care of this. You know what I mean? Even if it's light, just so you won't even have to have this headache. Because like I said, they just not a really good organization. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you're right though. They right there. You know what I mean? They right there. And I forgot about your man that came from Highland Springs. They right there. But hey, did you hear about the Knicks and them going after Mike Brown or Jason Kidd?
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be an interesting situation. We're gonna figure that thing out. Yeah, the Knicks gonna be. Yeah, the Knicks gonna be.
I said Mike Brown is the Kirk Cousins of the NBA because that boy, guys, he got so many checks that's coming his way.
Right.
Wow, right? I was like, man, think about it. Cavs, Lakers, the Warriors.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, and I hope they do get it going because, like I said, I do like the direction what the Jets are doing, and I hope that he is in the future plans for the Jets, and they're a good team, and of course, and then of course their GM is a local product, Joe Douglas out of Lee Davis High School, so he's a guy, so RVA guy, so I'm definitely rooting for my RVA people, So,
right,
and it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But man, so Craig Hodges was on Vlad TV. It's on Vlad TV, and it was, and of course,
right?
Yeah, and Crunchy Black and Paul call him Glad. He still call him Glad to this day.
Glad.
All right, so it's a lot to unpack in this document, not document, but this interview.
Okay,
it's one of those things where it's like we can set it up the best way, but we're just gonna break down our thoughts on it. I'm gonna let you go first. What stood out of the interview?
I mean everything, B. Like he's it was almost like watching TK Kirkland's interviews, you know what I'm saying? Because it was just like he was everywhere in every which way. Like he wanted them to boycott the 91 championship, the Magic, and like it's almost like, what's weird, it was almost like when he was talking, it was almost like I got a picture of Tupac when like when Tupac was young, his mother used to make him read the newspaper, you know what I mean, and it was almost like he was being breaded the same way, like, you know what I mean, challenge consciously in so many ways, you know what I mean, to make him look at things in a different perspective for growing up how he did in Chicago. And you just see he was just one of those people that was all over the place. He, it's funny. He probably really should have his own podcast himself because he has so many stories. The Long Beach Clippers. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
yes.
And then to hear like him and Tex, he is. I didn't know he was that much important to the Triangle and Phil Jackson. He's very important to them and Tex Renters because in college he did it. And then, him having to, I think he was breaded to deal with Michael too.
Yeah.
Street cred, being from Chicago, understanding how Chicago people play basketball. And then I think it was Don Nelson he played for, if I'm not mistaken.
With the Bucks,
And he said that, everybody was nervous. And he said, man, I seen you, blah, blah, blah. And he said, so can you handle me cussing at you? You know what I mean? And I think that it's funny. It was almost like that breaded him to, I think, deal with Mike and deal with that situation. You know what I mean? But listening to him and how he spoke about Michael Jordan, well, he was like almost like Michael was my little homie. That's how I felt. And then him being from Chicago and then Michael growing up in North Carolina, he was like, this dude is a country boy. I'm from the city. And he don't know a lot of stuff that he getting himself into. I felt that way also. You know what I'm saying? And he spoke about a lot of stuff that I felt like he looked like Michael might have been getting himself into and didn't understand he was getting himself into that. And a lot of that came from him growing up in Chicago, how he was raised in street smarts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and then like moving on from there, how he got blackballed. He gave a really good details based upon, how he gave the letter. I had never heard that part. Like you just can't give a letter to George W. You have to give a letter to a publisher or somebody like that. You know what I mean? They look over it. How George Bush actually respected him and didn't feel uncomfortable and was actually happy to hear someone speaking political. He also spoke about how a lot of people wasn't there. You know what I mean? Paxton didn't come. You know what I mean? It was certain people that didn't show up. But he said it was a schedule issue. It wasn't that they just made a decision. He also spoke about how Jordan. Now this is a trip to me too about the Pippen thing about the contract dealing with Pippen, and he spoke about how Jordan helped Paxson get a contract. You know what I mean? And then to go, how Tex Renters helped him get a job working for the Lakers.
Yeah,
and he was Phil's first shooting coach. You know what I mean? I didn't even know he was an assistant coach for him. I didn't even know that. You know what I mean? That's why, and that's one of the reasons why I did that. I sent that. I said, oh man, I need to send this to him because I think because it gave you it's like he filled in a lot of blanks of The Last Dance a little bit. Yeah. And he also spoke about how everything, The Last Dance was about Tex and Phil Jackson, basically. You know what I mean? And he said that even though Michael did this and that to people, he's not speaking on how Tex used to challenge him and how Phil used to challenge him and call him out on his stuff. And I'm gonna end it. And then I'm gonna end it with, he said, he's also not talking about how Michael used to have a lot of riffraff around. You know what I mean? It's basically saying that you calling people out, but a lot of people did not call you out on a lot of stuff that you did. And really, Craig Hodges did it in a respectable way too. You know that? It's like he understands exactly who Michael is and the mystique of who Michael Jordan is, and he understands how important he is to American culture, to basketball culture, to black culture, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He even spoke about the shoe deal. He was like, man, it was a really, really, really good interview when more and more I talk about it, because it's coming back about how how Jordan is not even on the Nike, what did he say?
Shareholders. Yeah, he's not even a top shareholder.
Shareholders.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So we'll just really interview. I'm gonna throw it to you. I know you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That shocked me. That was one thing that shocked me.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about it all is what's going on, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
So,
hey, can you ask Mike a question? If he'd throw it back, just ask him how he feel about Jamal Adams. He is an extremely big Jets fan.
Yeah, he can.
You know what I mean? Okay, hey Mike, explain it. How do you feel about Jamal Adams asking to be traded? And to tell us how you feel about that, if you can. But Chris, if you want to, he could. You know what I'm saying? If you want to, you can go ahead and say how you feel.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about the documentary? I'm not documentary. I keep on saying documentary. I mean the interview. I think it's one of the things where Craig Hodges was he was ahead of his time.
Right.
To me, what kills me is like, God, just imagine if he would have been a player present day. Like going back to the boycott of Game 1 of the NBA Finals and 91, I think those guys didn't realize their power. That's why, in essence, they looked at him like he was crazy. Because at that time, they essentially carried the league. And like you said, back in 1979, Magic and Bird saved the league because this was a drug-infested black league that people despised. And now it was in Central Casting. You had a guy that went to Boston, and then you had the other guy going to LA. So it's like you look at Magic, that's 12 years removed from that. And did he understood that he had that power? Michael was the same way, where you looked at the situation when he said about the shoe deal, where he shouldn't have renewed with Nike. He should have had his own shoe deal. And it's crazy to think. But I think this is just one of the things I think when you realize people, not insecurities, but some people have like the situation. He said, well, why would I have my own brand if no one will know me in 9 or 10 years? And this is like in the 80s. And to me, it trips me out like how Craig Hodges almost in essence had in hindsight of knowing like, dude, people are going to know you forever. Like, and it's crazy when you sit down and you think about it, like, this guy like you think about like MJ, he didn't even, I know he more so believe in himself, but for him not even have the foresight or the vision to say, hey, I'm going to live on forever. And that's one thing that it literally trips you out, like how that happened. And then he gave a good insight of what he should have done. Like he said, you should have had these guys working for you, instead of dealing these drugs out here in these streets. They could be out here, working on your shoes, doing this and the third. And I like how he kind of harnessed the piece of like the machine that kind of drove everything. Because I think a lot of people say, and we'll get to Mike's comment momentarily.
Okay.
And so basically, what gets me with it is, what I was going to say. So back to that. We'll rewind. So the whole situation with the sneaker thing that tripped me out, like how not having that foresight. And then another thing that stood out about, like he was saying about MJ versus Clyde Drexler, how MJ was like, hey, he's just as good as me, but he just don't know how to play the game, which is true. And to kind of circle back around, and another thing where, in essence, how he rooted the MJ aura was kind of rooted out of white supremacy. I thought that was really interesting because of the simple fact of how his shoes, in essence, create this type of weird environment. Like people were getting killed over these shoes. And like you really sit down and you think about it, how in essence we're in a situation where we're killing each other over pairs of tennis shoes, and who created that machine? So it just it makes you think, like, failure or not, but this is almost like a divine plan of kind of creating this type of buzz around, around sneakers and around this individual that is the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Then another thing that really stood out to me was, and what's crazy about it, and this is something I never learned too. Jerry West and Elgin Baylor was gonna they were threatening a boycott, and what they got out the deal was what we have currently now is the players union, which up until 1963 they never had a players union. You think about the league been around since 47, they almost went 20 years without a players union. So if there was any type of labor issues or unrest, it never happened. So it's just it trips me out, like how everything. It's almost like how he taught, and then another thing too, the situation with him being in San Diego with the Clippers, and Bill Walton was like, "Hey, don't talk to management, don't even deal with them." And then for him to be named a players rep as a rookie, and you having a guy like a Bill Walton, who is this? You think about it, dude. This man went to UCLA, and now he's playing in San Diego. Even though he was a shell of himself, but the aura still exists. Where a guy like him,
high though, who has to get high.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but he's a guy that had clout. Like even though he was having the injuries, and I mean he was a shell of himself, but dude, he was still living off the UCLA name. So
right, I got you.
What gets me about it, and it's just like it trips me out, like how Craig Hodges would be perfect in this day and age, and it's like God, if he was a player, and then like the boycott, we all kind of knew that the boycott was real, not the boycott, but not the boycott, but the him being blackballed. Because I mean, think about it. Because at that time, he led the league in 3-point percentage when he left. So and then like you're saying, going back to him being a shooting coach for the Lakers, I thought that was really interesting. So I mean, really good. Let me
okay, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna go to Mike's response to Jamal Adams real quick. Yeah. So, and what we do, we just read it for the ones who will be listening to podcasts and on YouTube. So I feel like he's acting immature. He knows he has 2 years left on his rookie contract, and the Jets told him that after they found out the money situation was going to be with cap space because of the virus, he should have chilled out until the time came. I understand he wants more money, and I think he deserves it, but he's young and impatient. And then I'm going to pull up the second part of that. And Jamal Adams' dad played for the Giants and got hurt, so he didn't get his contract. So Adams is trying to rush the process, is what I see. But as far as being traded, I don't see that happening. Me neither.
Okay. I think it's funny, man, because like I said, there's a lot of A+ guys, and I'm going to look at him as an A+ guy because they said arguably the best player on the Jets. So I'm seeing, I said this the last few weeks, because of this virus and how everything is changing, a lot of A+ guys is saying, okay, I'm going to really have to get something out of this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you want me to do this and that, you're going to have to do, you know what I mean? I'm going to have to be happy. So, but that's a lot of in pretty good detail. I didn't know that. Appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, and like the 2 years left. And that's one thing, like I was saying about the Christian McCaffrey, because the only reason why he got that deal, I think, in essence, because of the new management and what have you. It would have been surprising if the old regime was still there and he got that deal because they're in the same rookie class. And that's another thing where it trips you out and you're like, yikes. Like, but Jamal Adams, man, if I'm the Jets, hey, I'm taking all calls. You see this list of 7? If all 31 of y'all want to talk, well, how many? Oh, yeah, 31, yeah, because the Jets is 32, second team. But if all 31 want to call me, my number is available. Because
man, I'm gonna tell you, like you said, they were 7 and 9. They better have a serious conversation with him. You know what I'm saying? But back to appreciate that, Mike. Back to what we're talking about. You see, he said that he was an unrestricted agent. I mean, free agent, right? And he was looking to get He was looking to try to get some money, and he got blackballed. And then it was like it's just I you know I think I think Magic and Jordan. From what I watched last night, it seemed like Jordan was trying to be in that kind of like the culture of Magic and Bird and Isaiah. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like why he was so upset about the handshaking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like he wanted the Bulls to be respected as Boston, LA, and all that. And I mean, let's just be real. I believe that them dudes like the fact that they were being respected by some of the people that you never thought you'd be respected by of different cultures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to shake up. And we know people that's like that we've been around, you know what I mean? They like to shake up stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I'm telling you, this ain't right. We could do this, but he gave, and then and I'm sitting there. It kind of bothered me too that he wasn't even on the Last Dance. Like, was he on there at all?
No, not at all.
That's crazy. And he said that he had to call Pippen and calm Pippen down. You know what I mean? And then he said, I'm really doing this so I'm speaking for them. He said, I'm speaking for Abdul Rauf. I'm speaking for, the Pippins and the people that was kind of bothered by, by the documentary. And then he said, but I ain't dumb. He said, they shot that, that's supposed to come out, it was 20 years ago. And he said, they're supposed to put it out when? And he said, all of a sudden now everything slowed down. They're like, oh, okay, they ain't got nothing to watch. Let's go ahead and put it out. You know what I mean? It was a trip. It was really interesting, man. There's a lot of information in that, especially when he was talking about Kobe. Mm-hmm. And he spoke about, I can't remember, but he spoke about Kobe's dad. And he was saying how, yes, I do. He was saying how, like Kobe, even though he didn't go to college, he still was trying to learn. And he said he called everybody and asked questions. He called about, okay, man, well, how do I do the fade? Well, how do I do this? Because so he wanted to learn and everything. And then he said that when he had his chance, he wanted to be better than Jordan. And he said, you start watching film and you start saying, man, he was better than Jordan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he said that, I think his name was Sasha something, that played with when he played, when Kobe had, because he was bilingual or something like that, he speak Italian
Sasha,
also.
What was Sasha's last name? Sasha, not one Vucic. It was something. I'm about to look that up real quick. But yeah, I remember Sasha.
He said he used to smack him upside his head too. You know what I mean? But he said that he would talk to him a lot. He said that they would spend time together, so they was real close friends. You know what I mean? I think the difference with Jordan is Jordan wasn't hanging with a lot of those guys and was doing that. You know what I mean? Which was different. You know what I mean? Like Kobe used to hang with Sasha and they was real close because, they speak the language and this and that,
Yeah, Sasha Vucic. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. Sasha, yeah.
But I just didn't know, man. Like I didn't know that he was an assistant coach for the Lakers. That was crazy. Like I said, when Phil went to the Lakers, he brung everybody except for Jordan and Pippen. He brought everybody. Like, you know what I mean?
He was, he bought everybody.
He said, hey, let's come on. Let's go ahead and go. Y'all can leave Chicago. Y'all can all your other team. Just come on over here. Make our little $1 million, $2 million. We're going to win some championships, guys. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
But man, everybody went. Like, I mean, everybody went.
I'm trying to figure out why Jordan and Pippen didn't go because I'm sitting here like, everybody went.
Well, Jordan was in the front office and then he like, shoot, let me come back.
Right.
And then and Scotty was trying to get some money, like, for real. Like, like Houston, give me some money. Portland, give me some money.
Right. He's like, well, you're going to have to sell water and nachos. Shoot, as long as y'all can pay me.
That's right. As long as I don't get, no crazy deal. But yeah, that Craig Hodges was interesting. And like, of course he wasn't going to be in the Last Dance because think about it.
Why wouldn't he?
This is the Michael Jordan documentary, dog.
Man, he wasn't disrespectful to Mike.
No, he was not. But he is not going to be disrespectful. You think Jordan is going to allow him to say that type of stuff that he said on Vlad TV on his own documentary? Hell no. And like you saying, he just want to type of cats. And he ain't saying it wasn't nothing negative. But remember, like honestly, all this, like, to be honest with you, none of these guys who on this documentary should never have been painted with a negative brush. But lo and behold, Scottie Pippen, he does one singular thing, and he's like the worst person on earth. It is now a snitch, like literally, like. So it's just like, and then just imagine him. Oh, he would have been he would have been the militant black man, dude. Like, come on now,
you hear what Craig said? Craig said you sitting there calling Scotty
selfish.
Selfish.
Yep.
He said, "Did you not see him out there playing with his back hurt?" Like, I was like, "Wow, man!" Like, and you know what I'm tripping? I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why these two other channels didn't go get Craig and interview him, because I was looking and I didn't see, and I would have thought it would be interesting to interview him,
because it wouldn't have went with the narrative, because they think about it. ESPN wants to fluff this Last Dance, which I'm gonna admit I love the documentary.
But, yeah, I loved it too. It's not that. It's not that.
But you think about it.
But I loved it too.
But ESPN is packaging this documentary all the good stuff, and everybody who says anything or kind of goes off to another, like Scottie Pippen, like going back to my point earlier, even like just the whole comment of him opting out of surgery because he didn't want to mess his summer up, and Jordan even said that was being selfish. So obviously, you think about it, him saying that, then everybody carries on that wave of everybody. You know, there was talk that we're saying like, well, Scotty's, is selfish. So just imagine you bringing in a guy like a Craig Hodges who has that type of interview, and you're thinking to yourself, so I'm kind of listening to like a BS documentary. Just imagine interviewing him, and you're trying to package this documentary. It's like, no, thank you. I think we'll decline. We'll decline because we don't want bad press for our essentially we saved the spring documentary. Essentially, like we saved the spring.
But it's even his conversation wasn't gonna knock the documentary. It just was gonna fill in some holes, because we clearly you could sit there and be like, there's some holes that is missing, because me, I ain't gonna forget nothing. And even though, like for instance, this one right here, and I know you love Jordan, I love Jordan too, I'm not this, but he was like, Phil told me, hey man, pass the ball to Paxson, he open. I was sitting here like, man, you need to stop. You ain't just said, okay, cool, he open, he making shots, I'm gonna keep passing him. Jordan, no, you didn't. It was times that I remember one time, Scottie Pippen, Jordan was missing. Scottie Pippen started hitting, boom, boom, boom. And then he had made like 4 in a row, and then he made this one shot, and Jordan was open. Made the shot, they called timeout. Other team, they go sit at the bench. He's cussing out Scottie Pippen because he didn't pass him the ball, and I'm sitting here like, this is when I started really understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he just made a shot. Like, what are you upset about? Because he know if he make that one shot, that then eventually this and that. You know what I mean? I got a quick question though. Let's be honest. Do you think Jordan ever gambled on basketball?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Not in a negative way. Not like okay, I'm gonna throw this game.
Yeah,
I don't think he did that. No. I don't think he did that. I believe he gambled on it. Like, we're gonna beat these, and we're gonna beat them by 30. I believe he did that. You know what I mean, or something like that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one day we do hear that. Like, it wouldn't be like a shock. But I mean, he was competitive. So I wouldn't put anything past him. Like, this dude was like playing games and like beating people's mamas, like, and cheating people's mamas, and like Like real talk. Like, so I wouldn't put anything past him. I mean, at this point.
I was watching another interview on the same Vlad, right? And it was this mobster. The mobster is actually the guy who wrote the screenplay for The Sopranos. And he was saying that he believed that Michael has a competition issue, not a gambling issue. He said Michael gambles big money and blah blah blah.
Right.
And he said that he said now somebody like a Charles Barkley, he said because you have a gambling issue, you'll put everything on the line. You'll lose homes, blah blah blah. And he said Michael never did that. Michael always gambled big, but it never messed with home or family or anything like that. He said somebody like a Charles Barkley lost 10 million. You know what I'm saying? He was like, that's crazy. But he told a story about it was a ping pong game, and it was Michael Jordan versus man, what's your man that played for Orlando? Horace Grant.
Horace Grant, yeah.
Right. So they playing table tennis, ping pong, right? For $5. He said Michael beat him, of course. And then Horace Grant, he said, now where's my $5? Yeah. And then Horace Grant said, man, I'm in my basketball outfit. You know what I'm saying? My practice uniform. He was like, mother, if you ain't gonna get my $5, you know what I mean? We're gonna have a problem. And he said Horace went and got his $5 and threw it at him. And man, you crazy, man. You know what I mean? So he said, I believe Michael don't have a gambling issue, but he has an extreme competition issue. You know what I mean?
Cause he be cheating people in game like I was in like the story earlier, like Buzz Peterson, his old college roommate, he was playing that man mama in cards and like cheated her. Like it's crazy. Like this is crazy. Like it's crazy. Like how this man MJ is, but the Craig Hodges thing, I think he wouldn't have been in documentary because the thing about it is just because basically he would have been painted as, hey, he's the rogue guy. Like, well, he ain't do nothing. I mean, you think about it, you really got to sit down and think about it. Like, because if he would have said this, how the public of the in the court of public opinion would have been like, who the hell is Craig Hodges?
Right. I got you. I got you, but
right.
But also they wasn't doing anything. They might have looked him up. You know what I'm saying? They might have looked him up, and it's a couple of other interviews. I didn't get a chance to. I found it just at 7:30, and I was gonna watch it. And he was speaking on Jordan snitching on cocaine, this cocaine circus or something like that.
Oh yeah, the traveling cocaine circus.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I didn't get a chance to see exactly what he said, but I got an idea, But the way he talked, though, he didn't seem intimidated by him. And it almost made me feel like he looked at him like, man, that was my little homie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was we knew who he was. We seen how he practiced. And it seemed like, Craig had already played with a lot of greats. And he also had been through some things and seen, like, what's weird? I almost got the same picture as when Michael came to the league and how he looked at everything, and then how Craig came to the league and looked at everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was so strange. I could see it. Like, man, they went to a hotel room. I'm trying to figure out where everybody's at, and they all in here. They was doing lines and alcohol and weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at Craig, and Craig was like, "Man, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all scared to talk?" You know what I mean? It just seemed like everybody. It was just real interesting, man. But he said he got a documentary coming out in a movie, so it's gonna be interesting. You see what he said about Bad Boys though? He said, everybody want to give it to the coach, that the coach was the one that made everybody physical. He said, no, that was Chicago basketball. He said that was all Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
He said that was all Isaiah Thomas. And that's the other thing. I don't think a lot of people give Isaiah Thomas
credit.
The credit that he deserved. When I see Isaiah too, I think of Harden. You know what I mean? Like, I feel Harden is a beast, but it's just something, you know what I mean? Even though they got those championships, something in me don't really give, like, they won. They was physical. They played football. You know what I mean? I just don't look at them a certain way. And I remember that, man. Bad Boys was something special. They was something special. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like, people really don't talk about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I guess it's just one of the things where you think about the Lakers and the Celtics, they dominated the 80s.
Right.
And then the Bulls, six out of 8 years, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit essentially winning back to back. And I think going to 3 NBA
Right.
finals.
And
So
dominated.
right. It's almost like a blip. It's almost like they
Right.
were essentially like a fork in the
Asshole.
road. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
So that's why a lot
Yeah, I
of
with you though.
they just they weren't around. Because think about it, the Celtics went to the final. I mean, they won like 2 or 3. They won 3, I think. The Lakers won 5. So that whole decade between 80 and 89, either the NBA Finals. Detroit, essentially, 3 years, one in 89 and 90. And then what happens next? A team reels off 6 out of the last 8. So, yeah, that's why. I mean, if they would have had a longer run, it would have been more celebrated. But, they did what they had to do in their time.
Quick question. This is a dream thing. The Detroit of the 2000s or the Detroit of the early 90s, late 80s. Which one you think was better?
Oh, that bad boy.
For real?
The bad boy.
I think that Billups team was nasty, B.
It was nasty, but the thing, I don't know, part of me was just
they were scary.
I just think, yeah, they were good. Oh, yeah. I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I would do the Bad Boys. I think the Bad Boys, there's something about them. They was just all together. And then I think with that Detroit, the 2001, I loved them in the beginning because they were underdogs. But then in essence, that was their downfall because that's when they got cocky. Because essentially,
they got cocky. Yeah, they got cocky.
Once they got to the finals, won in 2004, lost to the Spurs in 2005. Then LeBron comes in 2007 and beats them. And then they thinking they're still good even at that point because all 4 of them made the All-Star team. Yeah. And then it's just like...
Right. I mean, and then... And let me see. I don't know. I know that the Bad Boys was physical because a lot of them was undersized.
Yeah.
And that team was very, what's funny? When I watch that team, they got a swiftness feel. It's almost like I'm watching the Warriors a little bit because like offensive wise, they was dangerous, man. You could be up 20 points and then in like 2 minutes, it's down to 12 or 10, just like that. And I was like, man, he got this. That team was down. I couldn't stand them, but that was like, man, they dangerous. But think about that. They got Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah. But they got Darko. Well, whose fault is that? That's Joe Dumars' fault. He once was an executive of the year. I give him that. So
oh my god.
That's all.
One of them guys that played the game.
Joe Dean, he did it. Yeah.
Right. So I got, I know we got another topic. I got a question. I had watched this thing today, and the guy was saying that right now in the CBA, he said it's so many wide receivers, veteran wide receivers right now that can get picked up for cheap. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. He said, and he did his top 5, but I was sitting there like, what do you think about that, man? Do you think that some of these players should get picked up?
Well, the thing is because of it's funny because of the draft class. I mean, you really got. I want to say, and you probably can have at least. I see about 5 or 6 guys from just this draft class alone could be 1,000-yard receivers next year.
Wow.
Like, I mean, that's what it's just like that. I guess it's just how the draft is and just whatever. Essentially, the depth and of the position at that particular time, it essentially deflates everybody else's value. Just like the running back position, where you look at the running back position and you're like, because at one point it was like, okay, you get a first round pick, you get a running back, he's your franchise, he's your bell cow. Then Trent Richardson, he comes onto the scene, plays for Cleveland. and ultimately he becomes like a bust, and then like for a 3 or 4 year period, you're like, I'm never going to take a first round pick on a running back. And that was just like, and then I remember when Todd Gurley got picked up, I think in 2015, we all looked like, why in the hell would you get a running back in the first round after the guy just tore his ACL? So,
right.
Yeah, it's interesting though. But yeah.
What about? Well, okay. One more thing. Well, and when I watched it, what made me stand out is a lot of these players, especially these wide receivers, got in trouble for weed. You know what I'm saying? And now the rules have changed. So I wonder if they're going to start looking at a lot of these veteran guys, and since now they can't get suspended, they can get they get fined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what you think about that? You think they're gonna be letting some players come back?
I mean, the wide receivers it's just like almost like I was saying the running back where it's plentiful. So guys go down. Oh yeah, they could get picked up. So that's the thing about it. It's robust. So hey, like if one of my guys go down, I got one in the chamber. I got a couple free agents in the chamber. Sign them, and you probably can get them for peanuts at this point. That's just. I mean, as a GM, you're salivating because you can get value for pennies on a dollar.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, man. So let's see what else we got here. And then diva, personality too. That's a lot of it too. Personality. It's a lot of diva wide receivers out here. A lot of them.
Well, man, y'all need to stop. They supposed to be divas. Yeah, like everybody want to swag and floss, man. They need to stop, man. Stop, man. That is
not everybody has to be not
everybody wants to be Deion. Everybody wants to be Deion Sanders, man. Like, everybody wants to be a flashy dude out there. Come on, man. Y'all know it. Y'all know it.
But that's how it is. Nobody that everybody. Right, and it's
they supposed to be. What? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I disagree.
It just depends. It just depends. Essentially, what to me, you look at it. Just depends on your culture. Some team coaches are like, hey, I don't want no guy who's a diva wide receiver who thinks he's better than quote unquote the team, or he thinks the team that he's bigger than the team. So, and that just goes to just the philosophy in itself. So, I mean, some people will tolerate it if the guy gives great production, but once he falls off, the diva's gone.
I've never seen no cornerbacks, no safeties, no linebackers, and no wide receivers that don't act like they the best player on the damn team. I ain't never seen that before. Or they can outdo anybody. I've never seen that. Like, I don't get, what are you talking about?
But we're talking about people who literally act out, like not in a sense. Okay, let's just bring it to the forefront. Let's put the elephant in the room. A guy like a Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, working this, they do their thing, 9 to 5, put in their lunch pail. Then you got AB, who comes in with all this pomp and circumstance. Teams just don't want to deal with that type of drama.
AB is a different type of animal than them two.
Give me 1,400 yards. Give me 1,400 yards, but don't give me this drama. Don't give me this type of like Chad Johnson was another one. Like, I mean, the list goes on. Well, we got these type of diva receivers, and you're like guys,
no, they just Julio Jones. Julio be acting diva. Y'all need to stop, man.
Odell was perfect for that.
Now Odell's different. I'm done. Y'all win. I'm done.
They're all the same.
I'm done.
In a different way.
Odell's different. Odell's different.
But when you talk about diva wide receivers, not saying in a sense, but the ones in essence create the drama. That's the thing. It's not like Mike was saying, more so of like almost carry on that feminine energy in a sense. That's what more so of what the diva entails. Like, you can do certain things and be this and the third. You can't be a jackass like Chad Johnson and have a gold jacket because you just scored a touchdown. You can't be like Terrell Owens and sign a Sharpie after you burn Sean Springs. You can't be twerking at FedEx Field after you scored a touchdown, Antonio Brown. Like these type of things you think
hey.
And I'm
That's
just
just
like,
coaching. And come on now. Y'all know y'all was Tootsie Roll and everything. That's from Miami. Y'all need to stop. He was respecting where he came from. Y'all,
but
I'm sorry. So basically, so like Randy Moss couldn't act like he mooned the crowd and all that. Come on, man.
But that's what I'm
Y'all,
saying.
y'all watch
right.
football, man. Y'all know y'all watch football. I've been saying that my whole life.
We know that, but that's what. And there's no knock against it, but like he said, it's an example of what they call diva receivers. And I'm just saying, here, fairly or not, but people like general managers and owners, they look at that type of stuff and they look at that like, okay, if I get a guy that can be 1,000-yard receiver, is he worth it? No, if I can get a guy like a Harry Ruggs or these guys on the cheap, I can get I can get these young receivers now and get them pennies on the dollars, then to deal with a guy like him, I'm gonna take it. Because
just like Emmanuel Sanders when he, what I'm saying, that just dropped that ball in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was overthrown. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, whatever. He could have caught that.
But that's the thing where it's fairly or not. But when you look at the wide receiver market of how it is, because if I can get the same production out of a kid fresh out of college and had no issues, don't have nothing crazy going on in his personal life, nothing that creates some type of drama, some type of buzz, I'm gonna take him any day because A, I can pay him for pennies on a dollar, and B, he gonna come into work and he gonna be hungry. But yeah, that's what it is.
So you saying that all the guys that they can't act like divas don't work hard?
They do, but I'm just saying, it's not saying that. I'm gonna put it this way: it ain't about a work ethic; it's about the personality itself. Like say for instance, I would just we're gonna keep it simple. B and you, one of us got drama. One of us was messy. All we do is talk drama and talk shit all day. One just quiet and they do their thing and leave people alone and whatever. We both can produce at the same level. They're not going to pick the one that's messy, that has drama. They're going to be working on the one that just stays quiet and does his thing. If I can get the same, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's the thing with, because you have to, the league is about managing egos. I don't want to deal with a guy who's a diva that can only give me 1,200 yards, and I can get the same production from another guy who is quiet and is about the team dynamic. And I probably can get him cheaper than the one that's messy and got all the issues. I would. Right. And they are cancer to the locker room if they're divas, which...
I mean, y'all gonna make me be mean because both of y'all, man, both of y'all teams, y'all speaking that, but both of y'all teams, like for instance, D'Angelo Hall. D'Angelo Hall used to be because he played for Atlanta, right?
But
did he play for Atlanta?
Yeah.
When he came to y'all and he wasn't as good, he shut up.
What happened? I think he just matured, and I think what happened with him, D'Angelo Hall's situation was the situation with Bobby Petrino. Because he acted out. He and it's rightfully so. You can't just quit on the team in 11th hour and just be like, hell, I'm going to Louisville and forget all y'all. He goes to Oakland. He's a model. He has little issues, but it's Oakland. He comes to Washington, to be real with you, he was a model citizen. I had my reservations about him.
He didn't play for the Falcons? He didn't play for the Falcons?
Yeah, he
I don't know why I thought he played.
Yeah, he played. That's what I'm saying. The main issue, what happened with them, because he was on there for like 4 years. That situation with, the Vic situation, then Bobby Petrino comes in, Bob Petrino is just like public enemy number one. And then he had the nerve to quit on these guys, 2 weeks before Christmas. So D'Angelo Hall just lashed out. It is rightfully so.
Right.
He goes to Oakland, but like even when he got traded from when he came to us, I had my reservations too. But he became one of the leaders in the locker room, and I think he was just more so of his maturity. I think he came to us essentially in 08, 09-ish, right around that time. So he was already like 26, 27 years old. He was a little bit more mature. So,
and I got you. Yeah. And they all get mature. And I don't, for what I get, the Terrell Owens, the Chad Johnsons, the Antonio Brown, and all of them, when they was in the locker room, when you hear the people talk about it, the teammates said that it wasn't an issue in the locker room. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When he played, so I don't agree with that part, but we only know about what the media tells us. Things have changed now. You know what I'm saying? But now people can necessarily speak on it. You know.
But this is more so I think of when I think about when I say the diva, I'm almost kind of talking in almost like an upstairs type of position. Like if I'm a general manager or owner. But as far as this why the reason is why some guys make it and some don't. Yeah, but Terrell Owens in essence had an issue with the quarterback. So with Terrell with McNabb. So you think about it as a general manager or someone of looking upstairs, I put it this way. There is a problem. If my quarterback and my receiver don't get along, we got problems. We got big problems. So it's either it's either the quarterback or the receiver.
And in the end, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. I remember that shit. And the damn team was like Terrell. They said McNabb because McNabb was there, but they was down with Terrell. You know what I'm saying? I remember that shit. But anyway, we all see how McNabb's.
Yeah,
I don't think he's acting like a diva B. I don't think so. But just because a person is, you know what I'm saying, is speaking out on it, he's just using his value. He's not the only one. There's other sports people doing the same thing. You know what I mean? People doing the same thing. It's a window of opportunity. If he feel like he's the best player and he wants to be, but y'all saying that he's not good enough to be the highest paid safety in the league is what you're saying.
Not quite yet. Like I would do it at this point. I think it's for the Jets' sake. I honestly just think it's too early to give a guy that kind of money, because essentially you're giving the guy a keys to the franchise and he's a safety. And it's too premature. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like he is the stir that he's the straw that stirs the drink for the Jets. But it is just to me, it's bad for them because they're such a young team. You're at a point where like you're gonna give this guy this kind of money this early. It could be problematic. This team still, in essence, is still kind of putting themselves together. So it's
and they have an opportunity to do something this year. They have something up because the Patriots is done.
Yeah, but at least I can get him on a rookie deal. That's like if you look at it from a business standpoint, I think I want to keep this guy on a rookie deal and compete. Because that's essentially what the league is really doing. When you think about the successful teams now, they're like you look at like Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is still playing on his rookie deal. And he's a Super Bowl MVP. So that's why a lot of it is you're looking at this the value.
And that's why I said I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But yeah.
Well, I was watching it. Go ahead. You good?
You good. Yeah, you good.
When I was watching today, they were saying, with this new CBA and them changing the rules with the marijuana, but he was like, what they end up doing is, like, he was like, they have some veterans and they'll just be on the special teams, right? But they released all of them and say, hey, I can get a rookie and do this and that and pay them this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then he said, and then down the line, I could bring them veterans back for cheap. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it opened the door, and then he was saying it's just a lot of veteran receivers that basically really, to be honest with you, got in trouble for marijuana. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of big ones, like that's not young that you could bring in to like if you have a young squad. Like one dude said, like the Broncos, like would you want to bring like a veteran receiver to come in and kind of like help them go through the ropes because the Broncos receiving core is so young. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it was just interesting. I hadn't seen that, and it just was something I
Mhm.
was like, wow, that's interesting. I was gonna bring it up and see what you said about it. You know what I mean? Because from what I'm learning, these I think that these CBAs and these CBAs and stuff that they sign in for the players union and these contracts for these leagues,
Mhm.
I think it should be more attention on it because it's those discussions and the agreements is that's actually changing those leagues.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I heard this, I was like, well, so I didn't even think about that. So it's a lot of dudes that got mental issues, and like Martavius Bryant,
Yeah.
he had mental issues. He loves smoking weed, but what team wouldn't want him? You know, he's very
Right.
athletic and blah blah blah. And now that they changed it, he can come back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
So like Josh Gordon, you know what I'm saying? He another one. He got suspended. I think they might have said it might have had something to do with Adderall or marijuana. He can come back. And now he ain't got to be have that much pressure because the gentleman said when you get caught, they will it's so many every time you see somebody they can piss you. You do it in front of somebody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, and that's one thing. And Michael asked us a question, so
okay,
we'll get on wait for him to answer to ask
okay,
to type the question. Pardon me.
okay,
So I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, and the CBA is tricky because it just depends on what part of your career you're in. Like,
right,
and that's the
right,
thing where if you're a wily veteran, you're like you're going to be in it for certain interests. If you're a guy that's breaking into the league, you're going to have a
hmm
special interest. So it's gonna be tough. Like even like what was going on in this current collective bargaining situation, where they were trying to press the minimum because most of the guys, in essence, make the minimum. So you look how close the votes were. I think they were like a 60, like it was like 60, like it was like a 60 point, well, not 60 point, but 60 people difference. Let's see what's going on with Mike. Let's see. As a GM, would you rather build a team or pay one player to make him happy? And he is a little selfish or not wanting to make everyone around you better.
man. If his numbers put like this, if he's not a leader, which a leader is, he work hard and um if he does his job at the top, you know what I mean, at a level, and it makes everybody compete to that level. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying him because it ain't when you work that hard, your numbers is at the top of the league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you at the top, he deserve it. If you can't pay him, you need to let him go. And I'm looking at it from just like if I'm a GM. If I'm a GM and I'm producing like I'm supposed to, and I'm going and I'm saying, hey, I want to renegotiate my contract. This is where the team was before I got here, and this is where I'm at now. If they cannot give me what I'm asking for, guess what? Let me go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel. You know what I mean? Hey, look at the Patriots. They did it and they won championships, but they paid Gronk and they paid Tom. They ain't paid nobody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they didn't pay him like high end like Tom Brady should have been getting paid. They got cheap on
Right.
him too. They got cheap. They really got
and
cheap.
and and that and you just look, man. You know your value, and you should get paid for the hard work that you put in. Listen to what you're saying. It's a rookie contract. He, they said this all over there. They said he has been playing. They said Jamal Adams has really outplayed his contract. They said that. They said he has a rookie contract. He's outplayed his contract, just like Patrick Mahomes. They need to pay him. Why would you even wait? Get him out the way. You know what I mean? Because they can wait. You know what I mean? And then how you gonna feel? What if you get to the point and then they don't pay you? And then you know what I'm saying? It get to the point they was like, man, when you hurt he get hurt or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just
And if I was a GM, like
that's why you get rid of him.
Get rid of
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you can't
Jamal Adams.
No, you can't. No, well, nah, because he said what, but the team need a better O line for protection for the quarterback, which is true. I mean, the thing is though, I understand like his value, but with the Jets, it's really no rush because you think about it. And
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You're right, but he told him I wanted to be a Jet for life. That's true. Right. I remember that from the jump.
He does, but look, he may want to be a Jet, but at the same time, he's been there, and like they were making fun of the organization anyway. You know what I mean? Like you said, half of the people that's talking that's being a certain way, they haven't proved anything either. You know what I'm saying? So if he's in there and he like, man, they not gonna pay me. He might know something we don't know. They probably never gonna pay him. They probably gonna try to string him along. You know what I mean? I just feel like your value, you gotta speak up on it. If you don't, you're gonna be sitting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like Fitzgerald was a beast, right?
Yeah.
Right? Fitzgerald was. I ain't never heard no talk about. He been with the Cardinals the whole time. I wonder why? Because he probably never asked for the money that he really wanted. He just gonna take what he can get. You got it. Well, I mean, you got to get what you feel you value.
But they did him pretty well. I think they gave him a fairly good contract throughout his. God, that's crazy. He's been there for almost 17 years. That's crazy. That man been there for almost 17 years.
I'm pro player, man. I'm pro player. That's all I'm saying. I'm always be pro player. And when I watched it, I didn't really know who he was, and I started looking, and I'm looking at these people talk about it. I'm like, oh, okay. They saying he outdoing his contract, but I understand you got a team and you worried about this. Like I was worried when I was a Steeler. I was like, I knew they was gonna have to pay Le'Veon. I knew they was gonna have to pay Antonio Brown because they was letting people go. They said we're gonna keep Antonio. They let Wallace go. They let Sanders go. We're gonna keep Antonio Brown. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, man. And then I was saying I would rather keep Antonio than Le'Veon because Le'Veon used to get hurt a lot. But then they, they didn't have nothing to replace him. But anyway.
Yeah, man. Bro. Le'Veon's in Gotham City now. So let's talk about the National Basketball Association. So we are less than 24 hours away from the biggest decision of will players enter the bubble in next month. So two guys who declined the bubble invite, Trevor Ariza of the Portland Trail Blazers. So he said he will not attend the NBA bubble because basically he wants to fulfill his custody commitment because he has custody of his child during the month. I think it's going to be in July or whatever. But and then another guy who said no was Davis Bertans from the Wizards. So he's going to sit out. And essentially, the main reason for him is he's a pending free agent. So obviously, and he's had 2 ACL injuries. So at this point, in his case only, it wouldn't make sense for him to go to Orlando. Your thoughts on 2 of the guys who have declined the invites? And I think it will be more.
I don't think it's gonna happen myself. I think with we didn't speak on it, but Trevor Ariza, and this is what I was trying to. I was talking to my pops about it too. He said that a lot of foreign players are saying they're not even coming.
Right, because you're right.
He said, and they said they're not doing it. And then I said, okay, boxing analogy. Okay, Floyd, right? He only works out. He works out a lot, but the main time he usually work out during a fight is like 2 a.m, or you know what I mean? Like really late in the morning, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And then like for us, it's usually when we watching the fight because he fight really, really, really late. You know what I'm saying? And what I think is a lot of players' body is set up a certain way. You know what I mean? Where they may work out during the summertime or things of that nature, and they might just not be feeling it. They, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the summertime, man. So like people looking to do vacations, they looking to do this. They not mentally trying to go play basketball unless you know the I know the
Right.
Olympics, but it was only certain people.
Right.
Like for me, I got an opportunity, and I know in a couple weeks I might have to do a triple shift. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm getting mentally ready now.
Right.
But it still was a lot of questions based upon the COVID-19. And then I think people have a certain way they necessarily deal with their body,
Right.
how they train, you know what I mean? And then like Trevor Ariza's issue where he is having some custody issues. So he's going to be with his child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It reminded me of last year of the Cousins incident. Remember when Cousins hurt himself,
Yeah.
and then his baby moms was talking about he took his kids or something like that,
Oh,
or yeah, remember that?
well, yeah, because she didn't want because he wanted
She-
the child to go to the wedding, and then the baby
Yeah,
mom was
yeah,
like, "No, no, you're
yeah,
not going."
yeah. But she hadn't heard from him also, and then he hurt himself. Remember he had hurt himself,
Yeah,
and
right
then the
after.
wedding and this and that, and that's why he was so. But there's a lot of that stuff happens during the summertime, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times agreements are a certain way, and it's just a lot to
Right.
deal with. Like if they, and I'm telling you, a lot of them players are not going to do it, and I do not. Especially when I'm hearing somebody said they should move it on one of them stations. That
Man, look,
it is
man,
not
Stephen,
going to happen.
no, because I know
No.
Stephen A. Smith was talking about they should go to New York. I'm like, New York is by far the worst place to have a NBA bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
huh? Like Orlando made more sense because I
Right.
didn't even like the concept of even of Vegas because at least with Orlando they'll be confined in a space versus New York is
It's not
so
going to
dense.
happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like when he said that,
Right.
I was like, dude,
Mhm.
like I felt like Steven Jackson, like somebody upstairs is telling you to say this
Right.
because
It is.
I
Out of
like
every
right.
place, New York.
I
That's
was
the
like,
main place that you had, like the main place that had it. They shut down post offices in New Jersey and in New York.
I'm thinking
What
to
are you
myself,
talking about?
this is by far the most dense place in America, coupled with trying to contain 22 teams with 35 people on each team. This is not going. That's just crazy because everybody's going to have to, and it's dense. So it's not a situation where everybody's going to be in one confined spot. And then here goes Stephen A. Where they got plenty of hotels. Did that mean
They
they're
got
going to have to
plenty of
travel from?
hotels.
But that's what I'm
Plenty
saying.
of hotels.
But it still doesn't negate the fact that they still going to have to, go. And that's not a situation where they can be isolated. That was the problem. Well, that's not the
Mm-hmm.
problem, but that's what they were trying to create. And that's why I thought
Mm-hmm.
Vegas was such a horrible idea. But New York is by far the worst idea. That's just him talking. And I just thought that was just idiotic.
Then I was telling my pops, I was like, we was talking about it, and I said,
Mhm.
well, think about it. I said, think about it. I said, remember when you went to the Gulf War? He said, yeah. I said, you remember, like there was rules when they didn't know that when they went over there was all these different rules you had to go by. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I said, just think about it. You saying, okay, my family and this and that can be in this bubble, but they can't do this. You can't do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, like he was basically when women went to the Gulf War, women over here is free. So if they go to the mall or something like that, they wasn't allowed. They had to wear something over their face. So
Mhm.
he was like, well, that was their fault because the people that brought them over should have told them that they wasn't allowed to do that. And I'm
Right.
like, a bunch of that stuff is gonna happen in that
Oh,
bubble. Like
yeah.
it's just these people are
Grown.
millionaires,
Grown.
you know, right? Millionaires and like grown. That's like and even though it's not, it's just it ain't gonna be a good look. You talk about quarantine. You talking about quarantine and social distance to the 15th power. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't even think they would be happy playing basketball. I don't even think they really would want to when you live in like that. You know what I mean? I mean, really
Right.
think about it, B.
And a lot of people think this is summer camp. I'm like, Yeah, but these are
Not.
20-some-year-old grown men millionaires. So you mean to tell me I can't fly out of IG?
It's
I can't
stupid,
bring
dude.
I can't bring sand to the beach. Like
Come
there's
on,
no
man.
beach. Like I can't bring sand. I'm telling you. That's why a part of me was like, even in the beginning, there was one of the first things I thought about. I was like, wait
Mm-hmm.
a minute. So we just keep it real. We know you gotta have some type of companionship during these hard times.
Right.
And just imagine if you're a millionaire. You know how like we can go on Amazon and just, hey, I want this, I want this. They go on Instagram and be like,
They
oh,
so stupid.
I want this, I want that. And they can't get
It's
flew
stupid.
in. So these IG models can't get flued out to Orlando. I just don't think it's gonna happen. So
I'm just saying,
yeah,
as all right. I'm just saying in general, man. Like, think about if you're on an army base and it's locked down, you can't go nowhere. You can't go off base.
oof,
You know what I'm saying? Or
yeah,
just think about that, man. And I had to really think about it, how selfish I am that because I want to see, I want LeBron and Lakers get a championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really start paying
right,
attention to like what is more important. You know what I
right,
mean? And I'm like, I know if I was in that situation, it'll probably be like me and you probably can do it because how we roll. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But everybody's not like us. Trust me. We was on the road. It was people,
yeah,
and we was in small towns.
right,
They had luckily they might had a Popeyes chicken or something. You
right,
know what I mean? Everything closed at 8
right.
or something. You be like, damn, like you know what I mean?
And
What to
then what?
do? And
Right. And then not to think about now, you're thinking about a pandemic that could affect, and that's another thing too, where there's a gray area between the people who are going to work at the resort. So that's the real gray area where people saying, "Hey, well, there's conflicting reports saying, well, they can leave. So the people who work at the resort can leave." Then I heard one report saying where they're going to make them stay on the resort. So
mm-hmm,
and that's another thing when I had the issue with Las Vegas, because I'm like, okay, these people who are cleaning these rooms, serving them food, they're able to go back home with their families, and vice versa. Where what if you come in, if the NBA is asymptomatic, then they get dinner from someone from the resort, and
mm-hmm,
essentially they get they get COVID, and then they send it to their family members, and it's just gonna go back
yeah,
around. So
right,
that's another thing where that still, which is bizarre. I mean, we're almost a month away from it. Well, really 2 weeks, because guys, the teams are gonna be flying on the 7th, where that hasn't been ironed out. And you think to yourself, that's one of the key things, like to kind of keep it contained, because it's almost defeats the purpose if these people on the resort can leave and then they come back every day, could be potentially given the and vice versa. The NBA
mm-hmm,
guys, or whoever, the executives or whoever, they could be the ones that's passed it on to the workers. Then the workers go home. Maybe they go to somebody who has, other underlying condition. Well,
mm-hmm.
it's and vice versa. And if and that's why it's like it's just such a
Sucks,
it's
right?
such a
It
yeah,
sucks, man. It sucks.
it really
Like,
does.
but
It really
I
does.
really don't think it's gonna happen, man. I think they pushing the envelope, and I hope it sucks, man. But I hope it's so weird how every week is different. Now they saying
Yep.
that they approved 60 games for the MLB, and we were just saying last week
Yep.
that that wasn't gonna happen. But
Yeah, they figured out a way.
I'm not gonna do that. I think they got families and kids, and I'm not gonna say I want to see it. I would say, because I see today that the NBA put very good insurance policies out there. I heard
Yep.
they said they did a really good job with that, but
Yep.
um, a lot of young guys, especially with the ones with the extension issues or something like that,
Yep.
to protect them. But I I don't want to be selfish. I do say, please, NBA, can y'all redo or update or do something to your app because your app is horrible. You know what I mean? But I don't see it happening. And if they do it, I wouldn't say a lot of those A+ guys there. You know what I mean? I could see some guys who supposedly live in check to check.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And
like
like,
and
okay, like football, if the NBA don't happen, I'm gonna tell you something. We already know this though.
yeah, I
If
don't
the
think yeah.
NBA does not happen, football ain't gonna happen.
And I
Mm-mm.
think, and then like I've been saying earlier, like not even earlier, but on previous podcasts, and I think even on here, football is too. It's like it's a sport that's not conducive to social distancing whatsoever. You got 11 guys in the huddle breathing on each other. And the great words of Anthony Fauci, droplets are going to be all over these guys. In a sense, you're in a huddle, and you got 12 men breathing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. I don't think this is going to happen. And then the locker rooms. The
Right.
locker rooms are like, essentially, it is a breeding ground for the
Right.
coronavirus.
Did you see the DL Hughley's video of him
Yes,
fading? And did you
that
see
was
his
cool.
response? Did you see his response? And he
Yep.
said, um, everybody, and this is how he started. He said, everybody, I'm doing okay. I'm waiting for some more testing, but they said I was extremely dehydrated.
All
Extremely
right.
dehydrated. And
Right.
somebody else, that was the issue too. The
Yep.
extremely dehydrated. So I
Right.
said, remember I told you I would
Right.
study the last pandemic, and I said it
Yep.
would go away, and then when it come back, it's going to be in a different type of form. It's going to be something else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
like this, the issue is that it makes you extremely dehydrated, and then you
Right.
got to get, you know what I mean, and then you get
It's essential.
tested, and then
Hmm.
you don't have the symptoms or any of that type of stuff. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Until and then you get
Right.
positive, and then you got to go through it, and then those symptoms come. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
yeah, man. I think that I think that they I think the NFL and the NBA should already have insurance policies in order because of I don't think they're gonna be playing. You know what I'm saying? It should already
Yeah.
be some type of so they can make sure they players and everybody can make it through and probably till next year because I really
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I like everybody keep on saying, "Well, football gonna happen." I'm gonna tell you right here. I sat in my car. It was maybe the first or second week in February,
Hmm.
and they were talking about, "Oh, they're gonna cancel Olympics." I swear, my commute from work to home was like 40 some minutes. I swear, I probably laughed about 25 minutes on that ride home. I was like, ain't no way on earth that the Olympics are going to be canceled. Just laughing, like out of sheer ignorance, out of sure, out of sure of ignorance. Like, there's no way that the Olympics are going to get canceled. That's not going to
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
Much to my chagrin, 2 weeks later, the Olympics is canceled, and I'm telling you, it's getting to a point where, and what, because now you even getting that like in college, in that college football, like at Clemson, 23 players have it. LSU had a situation. Kansas State end up canceling their postseason, not postseason, but preseason workout. I guess their schedule for the foreseeable future. I don't know when they're gonna quote
Hmm.
unquote go back, but a lot of, and like Tim, it's just crazy. And a part of people are like, well, it's good for them to get it early now, so when the football season start. But I'm like,
So you
it's
can't catch it again. Once you
and
get it, you can't get it again.
that's what people say. But so a part of me is like, it's easy to say that, like you saying, like the thing with DL. This is all this stuff is novel. Do we really like in essence? Do we really have a clear, definitive statement of that, of any of this stuff?
Right.
No. We're all going based on what we've seen in the past. It's novel. This is something that is new. So there's going to be extra wrinkles to it that we have no idea about. Just like DL passing out and being dehydrated, which we never would have thought about that Friday, as far as one of the symptoms, but it's novel. So it's
Hmm.
novel. So there's always going to be a new wrinkle that we're not going to understand. So
Right.
yeah,
I just
and
don't think. And then like
right,
I see NASCAR. I see what NASCAR says where they said they lock stuff down, but you know, think about it. Ain't they not? It's not too
yeah,
many people around with each other. You know what I
because
mean?
they're in the car and they wearing
Right.
masks.
Right.
It's easier. Yeah, it's easier to do
Right.
that versus being like with 12 guys.
Right.
And then in basketball, you defend the guy, you're breathing, right?
Right.
When Pat Beverly try to quote unquote lock people down, his droplets are all over the floor.
Right. He's so stupid, man. See, it's a
So,
serious conversation.
boy,
So stupid.
I mean, that's
Right.
the thing. But
I just don't. I don't see it happening.
I know, man.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah. But I think it's gonna be a lot of people tomorrow. It's gonna be I think the league is gonna quote unquote try.
I
Like
don't think they should.
tomorrow's not gonna be an end all be all. There are gonna be people that's gonna say, yeah. So tomorrow the prevailing thought is gonna be like, hey, y'all can do whatever y'all want, but the thing's still going on. But like we talked about last week, we talked about all this boycott and stuff like this, and like I said last week, I think science today is going to be the common denominator. Science is going to tell us, hey, I don't think the bubble about to burst.
Right. Even remember Dak and Ezekiel had that party supposed to be like 10 or
Yeah.
12 people, and
Mhm.
he tested positive for it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I don't. Because truth be told, after you have it, it could be some issues after you get it. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And
Right.
you know what I mean? So
Right. Because it
you
can,
know,
because it can affect everything where you may be asymptomatic, but it might pass your lungs and can hurt other organs. That's where I think a lot of people, like you saying, don't grasp the concept of it, of how serious it is. I understand like people saying, well, hey, the death rate has gone down, this, that, and the third, and hospitalizations have gone down. But now you see a certain spikes in certain cities. But it's still out there. The owner of the New Jersey Generals, the USFL, said, hey, once it get 80 degrees, it's gonna die. Dude,
supposed to.
what? It's June 23rd. It has been 80 degrees for about 6 weeks.
Right.
And it's still here. It's still here. And then you think about Arizona. Arizona. It's 80 degrees every day.
90,
It's
100.
1,000 degrees. Right. It's 1,000 degrees outside today. And it's still going on. And it's got a spike.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Like I said, man, science is going to be
I
the
think
science
the
is going
league
to.
I think the league is not going to start until probably December.
If that, and and it's something we've been talking about since the jump. We're like, yeah, I mean, they can create like you can create a pretty picnic, but you cannot predict the weather. You cannot predict science.
All right. So I got a question.
Yeah.
What if they did this? What if they just said, just scrap it, right? Just
Yeah, that's true too. That's another thing too, where the numbers can be off too. But yeah,
and it don't make
but
a difference.
still,
Even if
right, but still there though.
that circumstances can make whatever issues they have worse. And they could be saying, well, they died. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You
And
still can
it's
catch
like
it.
an
You still
indirect.
can.
It's an
Yeah.
indirect result of it. And I'm gonna be. I'm not even gonna go there. But
It could be from 5G too. It could be from 5G. But I don't care.
About 5G. I don't believe in stuff like that.
But I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
almost. Think about if somebody got in an accident and they died, and essentially they died of a contusion. But the accident, in essence, created the contusion, versus the virus created these things that happen. Like like we've heard there's been an uptick of like heart attacks and strokes that are involved with that. So in essence,
Matter
that
of
could be
fact,
a
I think I
contributing
got an
factor.
uncle. I have an uncle that just passed from that, and
Right.
it was he was already sick, but it also, I ain't got all the detail, but I know
Right.
it's from that. And yeah, they could do it. Don't make a difference. And I'm gonna tell you,
Right.
man,
Yeah. But the
I was
thing,
kind of, remember,
even
I was like that. I asked you, did you know some? Remember, I asked you, did you know
right.
somebody?
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, I know somebody. Because see, a lot of people, and that's the other thing, a lot of people
People
may
didn't know.
be
Right.
having it and they not really saying anything because trust
Right.
me, you don't want to go out there and tell everybody that you got it
Right.
because people are ignorant and they will act like
Right.
you had it or maybe trying to move away from you and this and that. You know what I mean? Or make
Or
you feel
right.
like something wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hell,
It's
you can't
right.
even go. If your lady, if or your kid gets sick, right?
Mhm.
Your kid, you may be able to go in there, but they're not gonna let you in there. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to drop them off at the hospital, and then you got to stay outside.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the issue. Right. And that's what makes it too. And I understand like there are other things that are going on
Right,
that, but as a player in this league,
right,
I understand I deal with things like maybe I could break a bone, I could do this. But what if I get this and I have a undiagnosed condition that I had no idea of, and this could potentially kill me?
that's what I'm saying.
And I think, and it's about erring on the side of caution. I think that's what people I think fail to realize. Oh yeah, these strong guys and this and third, but if they have a undiagnosed underlying condition, then we have a problem. And
Bro.
then as a league, you're like, you have to, because you don't want this on your watch. And that's why like the
Right.
whole thing the NBA saying, well, okay, if guys test positive for coronavirus, you don't want that on your watch.
Bro.
Like,
The foreign countries are not coming. They not come. They not coming here. They locking stuff down. They like people ain't coming over here. You know what I mean? So they know something that we probably don't know. You know what I mean?
right.
They,
That's
you
why
know what I mean?
that's
So,
why
and
right.
then before anybody really speak on it, go read the last go study the last pandemic, and you see all the mistakes that they made. You doing the same thing, and don't get it
Right.
twisted. Sometimes I'm out there without a mask and all that. You know what I mean? Because it's it is what it is. It's how we are. Some
Right.
people are more cautious than others, and I try to wear the gloves and the mask. You know what I'm saying? But
And
I'm just
right.
saying until if it counts to keep saying it, regardless,
Right.
it's how can I say this? Like once you get somebody, feel like you feel somebody that's close to you, know
Yep.
somebody, and then you
Exactly.
need to start. You need to start, like, you know what I mean.
Right.
And then they ask them questions like, what do they do, blah blah blah. And then if you say, hey, this person was clean, he disliked this and that,
Right.
then you need to
Mm-hmm.
take the precautions. You need to take
Caution.
precautions
Right.
because if you in a house with you got your family and this and that, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? And you catch it, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. You can't be
Right.
in that house
Right.
for
And that's
two,
a
two, 3 weeks.
2 weeks, if that or more. It
And
depends if and
or
that's
more. They may not
right.
let you come for a couple months. They need to stay
Yeah.
in that hotel.
And
You know what
that's
I'm
if
saying?
you're asymptomatic. Just imagine if
Right.
you're exhibiting the symptoms. Like,
Right.
so that's why a part of me is like I understand everybody's perspective. I'm at a
Right.
point where it's just like, hey, I respect what you say, this and the third. I'm gonna do my part. To me, I look at it
Right.
like there's people that don't wear seatbelts and some people don't.
Right.
I just know, in my personal opinion, how
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna safeguard myself is I'm always gonna wear a seatbelt because I
Right.
can't control what the driver in front of me or behind me or on the side of me do. But
Mm-hmm.
if they decide for some bizarre reason hit me or whatever, I still want to be protected. Like the same thing with the mask. I understand you don't want to wear a mask. That's cool, but I'm gonna wear mine.
Mm-hmm.
So if I sneeze or cough, you won't bear the brunt of that.
Right. I
Simple as
just
that.
right. I just hope if it come back and it come back strong, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean, really start hitting people. I hope that we learn, okay, this is what we gotta do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And don't really rip and run and everybody just go through the punches and do what we got to do so we can get
Right.
by. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's supposed to be come back. You know what I mean? It's supposed to come
Yeah.
back hard. Supposed to come back harder. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we will see.
Right.
If we wrong, we wrong. If we wrong, let's be happy that it didn't come back. You know what I mean? And
Shoot.
but I understand it's so hard because there's stuff everywhere. You got this person saying something
Right.
that makes sense. You have this person saying something that makes sense. You know what I mean? And you want everything to go. Now everybody is like, man, I missed this, I missed that, I missed this, I missed that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
they want everything to go back to normal. And I don't know, I feel you, but it might not go that way. I feel sorry for the kids that go
Yeah.
to school.
Right.
That's why I really feel sorry for. You know what I mean?
And I think the thing is, you can have a normal, but you have to do it in moderation. Like, don't like it. Like in our case, like with the weekends, I don't go out to eat. Maybe I get carry out or whatever. Maybe every other weekend, compared to maybe in the past every weekend or whatever. Limit your stops. Just like, you just do little things, and just protect yourself. You can still have a normal life. Just protect yourself.
But I feel sorry for the kids because
right.
if they go back to school, it ain't gonna be the same. Like they was talking about one person to a seat on the bus.
Right.
You know what I mean? All this, I'm like, man,
Right. Right.
But,
and that's crazy. And it's like, how Jenny would have met Forrest if she didn't give him a seat?
That's a good one. Do that one, boy. Straight.
Yeah. But that's another thing too. And especially with kids, because kids are social. And then it's kind of like they don't, and kids just don't understand the aspect of social distance. Hell, some damn adults don't even understand it. Just a child. So it's the thing where you're just like, it's just tough. Like, it's tough on all this. Oh, whoa. No comment. That's true. I get that, but
y'all niggas tripping.
I'm 35 years old. I am reformed. I have gray in my beard. I don't recall those times in my life, but like I digress.
I'm gonna tell you something. If I'm
All
ignorant,
right,
so
now.
if it's if it's certain words, I'm dead.
No, thank you.
Sean, what happened to Sean? I can see messing up now, man. What's wrong with
you? He went swimming. Yeah, he's swimming all right.
Right, but I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I am just joking. I'm not, bro.
Right.
Right. You tripping. Like, this ain't the time. You know what I mean? It ain't the time.
Yeah,
ain't
man.
The time, bro.
So let's put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live, man. Any final thoughts?
Man, hey, it seemed like every week the subjects is the same but different at the same time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a trip, man. You think this one week, then the next week it's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't think it was gonna be baseball. Now they talking about baseball, 60 games. And then we thought the NBA was gonna be moving forward, and then all this stuff started coming out. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, man, good show.
Yeah, man. It's been a great show. Another rad is Couch Coach Live. What can they find you,
Mike?
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes.
DT, Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78 Instagram, and my one more final thought is I was gonna get a game ball to NASCAR. I think NASCAR was a great example of. I'm sure a lot of them are upset about the flag being tore down. I'm sure a lot of them may not even want to walk out there. They may have They may have some issues, you know what I mean? But they put their pride to the side and walked out with homie. And I'm sure he felt good for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he felt wonderful for that. You know, people have his back. You know what I mean? Shout out to
Yeah.
NASCAR. Hope they keep
Yeah,
going.
man. That was a great sign of unity, man. That's just something that
Right.
it's weird. I never thought in a million years I would.
I know Hollywood is like, I need the
NASCAR.
script now. I need the script now.
Right.
You know?
And it's weird because I guess because I don't look at NASCAR from that type of lens. I mean,
Oh man.
Yeah. So
I got a quick story.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Speaking
Yeah.
of NASCAR, one of my owners drives a truck for NASCAR, right? And it's so weird. You know how I am. It's so weird how certain things happen.
Yeah.
His name is Charles Hatcher. He's on the road with him now. I hadn't spoke to him, but he spoke to me in January because I told him I was from Akron, and he was like, "Man, do you know a way for any type of way that I can get in touch with LeBron?" I said, "Well, if you smart, you might want to get in touch with Maverick because he was saying that Bubba Wallace is doing okay. You know, he's an African American driver, young man, but he needed some funding in some type of way so he could move up." And it's so interesting that this will happen. So now everybody know his name, and I'm sure he's gonna get the funding for it. And LeBron spoke on him for what happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny how karma is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and NASCAR, because I guess I don't really follow NASCAR, like talk about it, but just to show that solidarity is something that I never thought in a million years I would ever see on there. So that's a huge shout out to NASCAR. So definitely follow the podcast on any of your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also check out the website couchcoachlive.com. The podcast will be available on pretty much any way that you get podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Anchor. Also check out our YouTube page. We'll have tonight's episode on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, search Couch Coach Live. Archived, definitely archived, even dating back to 2015 on the YouTube page, man. So definitely appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. And we'll see you guys next week, man. This has been Couch Coach Live.
You're welcome.